Hi, this is Kelly Maria on FemmeFm. I'm sure you know as you clicked on the link, unless you did so accidentally, in which case, please don't leave. This is going to be great, I promise you. So yeah, on today's episode, this can be really quick because I'm like getting ready to go out. It is now 7:30. It's Patrick's Day, so this won't be uploaded. This will be uploaded the day after Patrick's Day, but I'm like very keen to like get out of the house. Um, so yeah, on today's episode we have Lucy and Kaelyn, who are YouTube superstars, dear friends of mine, and LGBT activists and cat lovers, amongst many, many other things. Yeah, and we they're in Arizona, so we actually went. We did the interview over Skype, and so the levels on this are a bit weird, but we will ignore that because the content is amazing. We ended up talking about the ugly side of YouTube. You will see what I mean when you listen to it. Yeah, the ugly side of YouTube. We talked about Donald Trump. We talked about their coming out stories, and yeah. So I'm just gonna stop rambling now, and I'm gonna leave you to it so you can listen to it and make up your own minds. But yeah. I'm gonna try and be professional. It's weird because I know you guys. Okay. So welcome to FemmeFM. I have Lucy and Kaelyn all the way from Arizona in my bedroom.
Woo!
via Skype.
Hi, Arizona.
So yeah, you guys have like I don't know, like 5 billion subscribers, right? Like I don't know, like how many have you introduce yourselves and what you do, because like you're like proper like grown up job, right? And then like Lucy, you're a bit like me. You work in the creative industry as like a kind of freelance.
You can introduce us. To introduce? Go for it. You're the smart one.
My name is Kaelyn. I am, how old am I? Almost 28.
Oh my god, so old.
So old. And I work as a emergency veterinarian here in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. And my name is Lucy, and I'm 23, so not as old as Kaelyn. She's a cradle snatcher. And I work as a freelance video editor at the moment, which is great because I get to work from home in my pajamas all day, every day. The American dream.
We're going to be talking about sort of like your YouTube career and stuff like that and how it started, because it was kind of before the whole vlogging thing became a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird to think that, YouTube is only 10 years old, and sort of how, like, it's just such an influential and sort of integral part of our society now. But you guys kind of stumbled upon that vlogging life by accident.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about that like a little bit? Because
I mean, it was definitely like a very organic process. It wasn't like we set out to be YouTube famous. And we started making little montage videos of our time together because we were long distance, and so in order to like,
they're just really good gal pals, you guys.
I mean, we were really
hate
travel companions.
We once were asked if we were travel companions. I mean, but then we were just editing, or I was editing these little video clips of our trips together when we would see each other, and I think we sort of uploaded them onto YouTube so that our family and friends could see them. And I think we were very naive to the fact that the internet, when you put something on the internet, the rest of the world, yeah, exactly, everyone can see it. And so, like, it kind of happened overnight, didn't it? People just started watching them and commenting that the videos were, like, helping them and, like, making them feel better about who they were and stuff like that. And I think that's when we decided to sort of keep it going, because I feel like if we could just help people by being ourselves and just being stupid, then we could keep it going. Because, I mean, it wasn't like we were doing anything groundbreaking, was it? Mm-hmm. So I was like, we could keep doing this if it helps people.
It was quite simple. People think that there's like some weird equation to it to be like have all these YouTube subscribers, and we would literally just post the most random video. None of our videos were planned out. We would sit in front of a camera on a couch and just make it up as we went.
Yeah, that was why it was fun.
Yeah.
And why it still is fun.
And then people watched.
Yeah. And it was really cool.
No, because like obviously I remember watching it with sort of our circle of friends at the time, because it's really weird because we've only met very, very briefly.
I know, for like 10 seconds.
It was the strangest thing. But people had come from all over to this event to see you guys and a couple of other members of the YouTube community. And it was just, not that it wasn't warranted, but it just seemed so bizarre.
It was really bizarre.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever twigged how bizarre it was until afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, I've just hugged 600 strangers.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was really
I never
weird.
expected it to be that big.
No, yeah, me neither.
I think it just really goes to show, though, how influential you guys are and people like you, and how important it is for sort of the LGBT community, in particular, sort of younger members of that, sort of like when they're like 14, 15, maybe even younger or older, like sort of like when sort of you kind of first realize that you're gay, and it's like, oh, what's going on, Mom? What's happening to me? But, you know, I think it's really important for those people like us having access to a place where you can sort of see yourself represented.
Yeah.
Having someone to identify with, because I'm not sure, like I watched a lot of Ugly Betty, but other than that, there wasn't really a lot there.
There's a big void, I think, in sort of stuff for the community. I mean, you got Ellen, you know, on her TV chat show, but I feel like when I was growing up, that was pretty much all I had. She was the only gay person I saw on television, or just in the media in general. What about you?
I don't even know of somebody that I look up to as a kid.
No. Yeah.
I also didn't realize I was a homo until I was like 20. I kind of missed out on this whole like bridge of my life.
Well, maybe you'd have realized you were a homo if you
there was
had
someone
role
before.
models. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. The struggle
It's
wouldn't
like-
have been there.
There was a lot of representation when I was sort of a teenager of white gay men as the gay best friend.
Yeah.
You know, as, you know, I'm cool. I've got a gay friend.
Uh-huh.
I'm pro these rights.
Yeah.
But it was sort of like, essentially, like I love Sex in the City, but it's just kind of like, I'm tired of that trope. I want to see more.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know about the L word now, but I didn't when I was 12.
Exactly.
You probably didn't want to know about it
Yeah, when you were 12, you probably shouldn't have been watching the L.
But anyway, I've like really sort of gone off on a tangent. Like, you want to go like briefly through your coming out stories? Like, I know it's online for people to see, but just for, you know, the 2 people on the world who haven't seen it.
I guess mine comes first because mine was in January of 2011.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it must have been.
because we started dating in 2010.
Yeah.
And I had come home from veterinary school for Christmas break, and all of my friends in school knew that I was gay, and I had dated Lucy for about 6 months at that point, and my parents had no idea. And so they told me that when I came home, I had to tell them it was time. And so I had figured out this date to do it around Christmas time, so then we could just get it out of the way and spend the rest of the holiday together. And then, of course, that day came and passed, and I was panicking. So it came down to the point where we were driving to the airport at like 3 a.m. to drop me off to go back to school. And I told myself that I would come out at like a certain exit on the highway, and that passed. And I was panicking. So it came down to literally the very end where I was standing at security at the airport. And I just very quickly told them that I was gay and ran through security and didn't see them for 4 months.
By the way, I'm gay, bye!
That's exactly what it was like.
I wish I had been there to witness that.
And my mom called me and she was like, I have a few questions.
That's so adorable. That's so cute. I mean, I wasn't brave enough, I guess. Well, the brave isn't the right word, but I think I just didn't feel comfortable coming out to my parents when I was living with them, because I knew for a fact my parents would be absolutely fine with it because they're the best parents on the planet. But I just didn't want to risk it because you always listen to that anxious voice that says, "But what if this happens?" You know, and you're like, "Ah!" So I waited until I'd moved out to university, and then I was like, "Okay, I just have to tell them." And I was gonna Skype them, and again the voice was like, "No, you can't do it that way." And I was like just panicking. And then Kaelyn suggested maybe just writing them an email, and I was like, "No, that will do. Like, that way I can get out everything I need to say and not have to be panicked about it, and I can just cover everything and then just hit send and forget about it until they reply. So I sent them an email, and I copied and pasted a bunch of different coming out emails that I found on Google to sort of help me compile my own. And then I hit send, and I was like, this is great. You know, I can just, whew. And then I read it back. And I scrolled down to the bottom, and I was like, this is fine. Oh my God, what is this? And I saw at the end that I had left in a chunk of text from someone else's email, and I had not deleted it before sending it. So it was like, love you, Mom and Dad, love Lucy. And then underneath it was like, I hope you'll always love me, Mom and Dad, love from your son, Ed. Underneath where it said my name.
See, obviously I've seen that video and I knew where that was going. I think that's so fucking
And
funny.
I screamed and I cried.
She was hysterically crying on the floor.
Like, I was just like, what have I done? Like, why did I not proofread this freaking email? Like, come on, Lucy, you had one job and you messed up.
Then we thought that her parents were going to think that maybe she was like transitioning.
Yeah, to someone called Ed. And I was
Ed,
like, oh,
yeah.
This is just not what I wanted to happen. Like, you know, I'm not, you know, I just wanted to tell you that I was gay. But my parents, being the perfect parents that they are, just pretended like they hadn't seen it. They ignored it. They must have known that I just messed up. And it's never been mentioned between us, and I don't think it ever will be. And I think we should just keep it that way.
If that was me, I'd be called Ed for the rest of my life.
Oh, the shit.
That's the kind of family I can just like, all right, Ed.
Yeah, how's it going? I've never been able to find that email though on Google. Like, I've gone back and looked for it, and I don't know where it's gone. But whoever Ed is in the world, I hope he's listening, and I hope he's sorry for what he's done.
I thought you were gonna say, I hope he's happy and
Well,
I hope
yeah, I
it
hope
went
he's
well.
happy. I hope they accepted him. Bless Ed.
I know, but I just think it's so important for these stories kind of to be told, and I know you've told them before and stuff like that, but you know that there might be people listening that haven't heard it yet. But yeah, it's just sort of so weird to think that YouTube is literally only 10 years old, and you know it's in its infancy. From where it went, from kind of like when 20,000 subscribers was a lot, or
Yeah.
30,000 subscribers was like a lot, and now there are wax figures in Madame Tussauds of like Zoella and Alfie.
Yeah.
And like my sister is obsessed with vloggers and the vlogging community and that whole thing, and she's like 11, and it's I think it's great on one hand because it's kind of like breaking down those gatekeepers of like the mainstream media,
Yeah.
so that anybody can represent themselves if they choose to.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to kind of hear it from, you know, you guys, you know, looking from your perspective. What has YouTube done for you?
I think that YouTube, especially in the last few years, it's become very popular because it's this middle ground between there's famous people on YouTube, but they're famous for a lot of the time showing their real life and showing real experiences and vlogging. And you compare that to, let's say, true famous people like on TV, they're very, they limit what they show in their personal life. So I think YouTube is much more relatable to young people.
Yeah.
And there's this sort of, people feel like they're your best friend. It's compared to like a celebrity where you don't really get that.
Yeah.
I think starting out, I guess for us, it really hasn't been a weird or a big transition between having 10,000 subscribers and 230,000 subscribers. We just make the videos that we make. Sometimes we get stopped a little bit more on the street for people who recognize us, but
That's crazy. You guys have been stopped on the street by people who recognize you.
Yeah. That's
That's
the most
so
surreal
mad.
part of it, I think.
Yeah.
Is being recognized, because then you feel like you're famous and you're not really, you know.
yeah.
You've just been seen by more people than usual.
Yeah.
It does feel very strange when people come up to you and they ask for photos and they ask for autographs, and
Or
it's
they
like,
cry and they'll start crying.
Yeah, and I just feel really strange. I mean, it's a nice thing, you know. People come up to you and they say, "Oh, you helped me with this," and it's just so nice, really. But I think there's always that pressure there to make sure that I'm continuing to be a person that these people are looking up to, because I would never want to, like, you know, mess up or just be an idiot because I'm worried that if these people are looking up to me, then they'll be disappointed. And I think that's the only pressure I've ever really felt on YouTube. Like, I've never felt the pressure to make videos that are popular or viewable because it's always been just a fun hobby for us.
I think it is there's a very big contrast between people who do YouTube for fun and have careers outside of it versus people who do YouTube full time.
Yeah.
And it's not wrong either way. There's not one that's more, beneficial or positive than the other.
Yeah.
But I just feel like because we have lives outside of it, that there's not the pressure to make the next viral video or be the next big star. We just make videos that we make, and if people don't like them, we really don't care.
Yeah, because it's fun. The end of the day, we enjoy it, and that's why we make it, and it's fun. And if people can take something from it, then it's amazing. But I really like that we don't do YouTube as a full-time job because the stress would just get to me. And I really applaud people who do YouTube full-time because I think you have to have such dedication, 24/7. And I can't imagine the pressure of needing to get views and needing to get more followers because that would destroy me.
Yeah.
So I really, I take my hat off to people who do it as a career because I couldn't. I'm not strong enough mentally.
No, it requires such a huge amount of self-motivation and sort of it is that you are your own brand.
Yeah, exactly.
And being your own brand creates its own, a huge amount of pressure. Like that girl, I can't remember her name, but she was a model and a lifestyle blogger, and she's now just quit all social media because the pressure just got.
Oh, Asina. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was just saying, it's all constructed. None of it is real. It's made to look like it is. It's sold to you like it is. It's sold to you like this is an attainable lifestyle. But it's not. It's about product placement. It's about advertising, and it's about getting revenue from these kinds of things. But sort of the likes of you guys on your end, it can be so positive, and just being open about sexuality and gender identity and mental health and your own body and sex and the way you guys run your Tumblr as well, run your Tumblr blog, and then you just get every day a million asks, and it can be from people it's just saying thanks, and it can be from people asking for advice I'm in a long distance relationship, or but it also comes with fuck you, faggot. I think your favorite videos of mine are the ones where you respond to your haters.
I love
haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate.
That is hilarious. It's so funny because it just shows the ridiculousness.
Yeah, especially the ones that are spelt wrong. Just the wonderfully elaborate spelling mistakes are just the best.
Lesbians.
Someone said, "Are you from Lisbon?" Which I think they meant, "Are you a lesbian?" Because we're definitely not Portuguese.
What are some of your favorites?
Favorite comments?
Oh, my all-time favorite one was, "Kaelyn must be rich, because why else would Lucy be with her?"
Oh my god!
That's my favorite. Because I'm so not rich. I have this really nice job, but the amount of student loans that I have.
Why do people think you're rich? You went to vet school. She's in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. I'm like, girl, if only you knew. What's my favorite comment? Someone said, "I want Lucy to do a shit on the back of my neck." That's always been a fave of mine.
There's a niche for everything.
Yeah. And then someone was like, "Please, for the love of God, show us your feet."
We have a lot of feet people.
Really like feet on the internet. I never knew. Yeah.
As much as it is important for you guys to do what you're doing for the LGBT community and for people who are trying to accept themselves, I think it's also important for maybe that homophobic bully in school to sort of come across one of your videos to leave a hateful comment like that, and then see just how fucking normal it is. It's not a fucking big deal. And for them to change their minds, because I say this all the time. People fuck up. Everybody fucks up, and it's some more than others. But if we don't believe that people can change their views, and they might have done a shitty thing or said a shitty thing, but if we don't believe people can change our views, then what are we fighting for, you know,
Exactly.
in the first place? But I think that's really important. And like it's so weird because you guys never set out to be role models, but you definitely are. And like, I mean, like you've done like grown-up things like talk in schools and stuff like that. And
That's always been so surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's stressful too.
Yeah. Especially when Kaelyn likes to wing things, and I'm definitely the kind of person who likes to plan. And so we clash when it comes to planning what we're going to talk about. We spoke at a youth conference in San Francisco, and Kaelyn was like, we're just going to wing it, it's going to be fine. And then when we went up on stage, we both just froze. And Kaelyn was like, I was bullied. Kaelyn was like, I was bullied when I was younger. And there was like a long silence. Oh my God, it was so bad. We were so awkward. And I was like, so was I. And then we both just froze. What did we even end with? I think we were just like, it's going to be okay, guys. I mean, it was really fun. And I think we managed to like put together something that was sort of cohesive. And like I watched it back and I was like, okay, that wasn't bad as I thought. But at the time I was like, I want to die. This is so uncomfortable. Like I want the ground to swallow me up. But it was fun. But yeah, that's always been the really difficult part of being a role model, is that you have to sort of be prepared to speak about things that you maybe should research first. Lesson learned.
So we've talked a bit about where YouTube is now. Where do you think it's going? Because like, I believe it's going to get bigger, but at the same time, nothing is future-proof. I thought Bebo was future-proof.
So did I. Oh, the heartbreak.
Share the love. But where do you think it's going?
It's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I think YouTube is getting more and more saturated, and more people are trying to sort of make it big, which is fine, but it also makes it difficult. It makes it harder, I guess, because everyone's sort of screaming out for these different viewers and attention, and, you know, there's only so much people can watch, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know whether it's going to get so saturated that nobody will have a voice.
I think it may end up like collapsing on itself, where there's just so much content that people just stop watching.
Yeah, and people may just give up because they don't think it's worth competing anymore.
Yeah. Or it could just continue to get, you know, bigger. I think eventually you'll have to have new artists come out that are bigger and better than the previous ones. So I think eventually it's hard to continue this as your full-time job for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So I think in our generation, our big YouTubers are eventually going to fade out.
Yeah, and I think there'll be like new stars that overtake the old ones.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there'll be like another website as well that tries to mimic YouTube and may be a better place to be. And
because there's YouTube Red, which is becoming a thing, which is like a subscription. You have to pay to watch people's videos.
Okay.
And I think they're doing like YouTube Red movies that you can pay and watch. It's kind of like a Netflix but YouTube, which I think is about to take off. So, I mean, there's all these different avenues that could go down.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting, really, to see how people try and maintain viewership and stuff like that.
Because obviously there's a few different ways to kind of create revenue from it, and then I think once people find out they can make big money in anything, then that's when things kind of start to shift. And it can get better because people are competing to make better content, so there's better and more informative content out there of better quality. But it's also like, if you're not doing it for the love of it, there's not that passion.
And I think that shows when there's no passion and it's all for views. You can tell when someone's doing it for money versus...
I think that recently we've gotten to this place where it's the most outrageous video gets the most views, and so people are making these like crazy content videos that most people would be embarrassed or would worry about what happens in the rest of their life with this video. Like, I would be a little bit embarrassed if I produced some of these videos.
Like dropping condoms on people's heads?
Yeah, things like
what? How do people even come up with that idea, you know?
And so I was going to talk about sort of like a bit like the ugly side of it, and sort of with a certain level of responsibility and power and fame, essentially, you can manipulate people and it gets really ugly. So like with what happened with Michael Lombardo, how do you pronounce his name? Michael Lombardo, being convicted of child pornography charges, and Sam Pepper, although he denies all allegations made against him, there is evidence in the videos that he himself has made of touching people inappropriately and harassing and putting them under pressure to do anything of sexual nature, and then putting it on YouTube and then making money from this.
Yeah, it's appalling.
And it's not exclusive to YouTube, because like obviously the news just came out today about Kesha losing her case with Dr. Luke's label, which is like a subsidiary of Sony Music. People will always abuse positions of power, but it's really, to me, it's very worrying. Well, YouTube is still like a very young kind of, it's not like the music industry or Hollywood or, you know, to be a bit controversial, like even the church, you know, it's 10 years old. It's nothing. Like my, you know, I was gonna say my baby sister is older than that, and it's a bit worrying that it's already being used as a tool for this kind of behavior. And I just believe it's important that everybody speaks on this and holds people like this accountable for what they're doing. You know, they're getting paid for this behavior. It facilitates it, and it just becomes a breeding ground for it. And like, I'm rambling now just because I'm getting kind of like heated. I'm getting kind of angry about it, because I'm just like, no, that's not what YouTube started as. Stop turning it into that. And just, I think, how do you think we kind of stop this? Is it just talking about it, or is it kind of...
I don't think it's going to stop.
Really?
I think it's going to get worse. I think as the more saturated that YouTube gets and the more people who think that they can do it full time, the more dramatic or like...
And it does get to people's egos as well. Like Nash Grier, who thinks he can do no wrong, but like call people faggots on Vine, and then like 9 million fangirls who follow him are like, oh my god, you're so funny, and then they start using that word. And he thinks he's invincible because he has all these fans. And I guess like you said, it can spread.
I think it'll get worse.
Because people want that level of fame. Like
it's all about being the next big thing. But especially, I think it comes from those who are trying to make the biggest living off of YouTube, or a lot of the full-time YouTubers, is they have to make the next big thing. They have to make the most like viral, crazy video to get the views. And a lot of them live in the moment right now because they need to make money off of that video, and they need more followers and they need more views. But I worry about the people who eventually have to fade out. They're not going to be full-time YouTubers, and what is their outlooks after YouTube? You know, people who you're applying for jobs are going to look up you on YouTube or Google you, and you're going to see this crazy inappropriate YouTube video that's tagged to your name, and that's what you're going to be known for. So I think people have to be careful and think about the future, but I also think it's going to continue and get worse.
I definitely think it's important to speak on this, but I also think a certain level of responsibility lies with YouTube itself. You know, not allowing this content to be like, not showing this content. If they find out that Sam Pepper video has millions of views, they know it's there. They know that, you know, the girls in it are being harassed, and they don't feel comfortable with this, and they didn't consent to having their arses touched. You know, I think that a certain level of responsibility, and I know they can't monitor every single tiny little comment and stuff like that, but when it gets big and people are getting paid for it, YouTube just need to come down on this hard and, you know, say like, we're not putting up with this. That's not what we created the space for.
Yeah, and I think Sam Pepper's video is a prime example of someone who hasn't thought about the consequences of what his video can have, because all he's thinking about is how many views is this going to get? How much money is this going to make? He's not going to think about, oh, maybe this encourages sexual harassment. Maybe I shouldn't do this, you know?
Or maybe when I fade out.
Doing it consciously.
Yeah, well, maybe when I fade out of popularity, how am I going to find a job, you know?
Yeah, I thought I would talk about sort of LGBT sex ed being on the curriculum and how we sort of fight for this, because, you know, I also find that sort of the concept of, you know, the one sex talk and then you're done kind of silly. And also, it's always from like, okay, so this is how you put the condom on, but you know, please don't have sex anyway, not until you're married. And you know, I don't agree with abstinence-based sexual education, but I suppose, you know, the other alternative is the lesser of two evils. But I just think there should be more multifaceted education, really, on these kind of things, especially because. But yeah, you know, you guys talk in schools and stuff like that about LGBT rights and just the community in general. How do we move forward if like Donald Trump is going to be our president?
We leave America and we never come back.
I think there's enough young people who are aware of, you know, the liberal concepts in the U.S. and will support gay rights. And
I feel like
that.
Bernie Sanders is doing a really good job of gathering together the youth of America.
Mm-hmm.
Because everywhere I look on social media, like I follow him on Facebook, I follow him on Twitter, and he's always like, if young people get out and vote, we can win this. Because it's true. That's what they did in, where was the caucus where he won? What state was it?
New Hampshire.
Was it New Hampshire? Where he won by a landslide. And it was because young people voted.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is out for the interests of young people.
Yeah.
And so if young people stay educated and they stay aware and they don't just, you know, turn a blind eye when it's on the news, then we could really change how the world progresses.
So is that who you're going to be voting for then come election time?
Well, I can't vote, but Kaelyn can, because I'm not a citizen.
You can't vote?
I'm not a US citizen. I wish I could, but you're going to be voting for Bernie.
I'll be voting for Bernie.
Feel the burn!
Feel the burn. What do you think about Hillary Clinton then as an alternative?
I think she kind of superficially represents maybe what young people think they want, or women being a feminist and having the first, you know, woman president. I also think that she has a lot of controversy. She still gets a lot of donations from very large companies and Wall Street and things like that. And so I think she has other alternative motives to it. I don't think she would be a bad president. I think it would make a lot of leeway. You know, if we think about the Middle East, having Hillary Clinton as a woman president of the United States go to areas where women aren't treated equally as men, I think would be beneficial. But I think there's going to be controversy associated with it as well.
Yeah, and I think because she's a woman, she is sort of destroyed by the media that whole much more. Mm-hmm. Because women are just analysed more. I mean, I saw something on Tumblr. It was like a compilation of GIFs of things that news stations have said about her. And one of them, someone was like, who wants to watch a woman age before our eyes? Like, that is what someone said about her being a president.
Or she yells too loud.
Or she talks too much. She talks over people. Like, they all, like, did you watch the Republican debate? They were all just talking over each other. Like, just because she's a woman, like, why are they picking that out? I think she'd make... I mean, I would prefer Bernie. I think his views are more, just I side with his opinions, I guess, more than hers. Especially on things like war. I think Hillary voted for the Iraq War, which makes me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But anyone's better than Trump, to be honest.
Yeah, fucking Kanye West before Trump, to be honest with you. Sort of, I support Bernie Sanders. Obviously, I don't live in America. I'm not an American citizen. I can't vote for him, but if I could, I would. But it still doesn't make the demonization of Hillary Clinton right. Like, I've seen so many, like, just comments like, well, you don't want, like, a hormonal woman on her period. And I'm like, okay, first of all, she's in her 60s.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Second of all, look how emotional you're getting right now. Men are just the most highly strung people ever. I think women, for the most part, are more rational. And these are sort of stereotypically male traits to have. I think it's part of the patriarchy that women are more in touch with their emotions. Only because men are told to be tough and not to show them. And I was sort of having a discussion today between the differences of liberal feminism and sort of like anarcho-feminism, and sort of like how liberal feminism sort of benefits both men and women. And anarcho-feminism is more like, no, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. I'm not fucking pandering.
Yeah.
I'm not appeasing you anymore. Why does it have to benefit you for it to be a good thing?
Yeah, exactly.
For humanity in general. Yeah, no, it's really good to discuss, because I was like, yeah, well, I'm a liberal feminist. I think everybody should have the right to And then once she'd said that, yeah, it kind of got me really riled up, and I was like, okay, you know what?
Yeah. I was having a discussion on Twitter with someone about that, because I tweeted about how, because yesterday Kaelyn and I went out for dinner, and then we had to walk past a big group of men to get to the car. And when you see a group of guys, you think, oh, here we go, like someone's going to say something, they're going to reach out, they're going to throw something, they're going to shout something, because those are things that have all happened to me. And so when I walked past them and none of them said anything, I was like, should I thank them for not harassing me? Like, wow, I'm so impressed. Like, should I reward you?
I'm so grateful.
Yeah, like I was like, wow, I feel like I should say thank you. And I tweeted that, and I was like, how sad is it that I feel like I should say thank you for not like shouting something at me? And someone was like, why? They were basically like saying not all men are like that. And I was like, okay. Well,
hashtag not all men.
Hashtag not all men, exactly. And he was like, why should you blame the actions of all men on the actions of a few? And I said, well, because it's your fault. Like you guys are the ones who are doing it. And he was like, but how does that affect me? And I was like, this isn't you. This isn't to do with you. This isn't your problem. Like, why should we change just so you can get the benefit of this? Like, he cares more about protecting the stereotype of his gender than he does about women being harassed in the street. Like, get your priorities right, dude.
Yeah.
Our cats are screeching around the house.
I'll interview you again in 5 years, and I won't even be able to see you because you'll just be like bathing in like so many different cats.
I know, it'll be
It's
like
true.
fur just everywhere, and you'll just see our little faces.
Just like off the record, I'll like edit this out later, but did you see that Paige and Sophie adopted another cat? Yeah, it was because it was in the newspaper, and they called the cat Hope, and it literally had been thrown out with the rubbish. Poor little baby. And she was just a kitten. She was thrown out like it was a miracle she survived, because it's been really cold over here. And then someone was just walking past, and they could hear like this cat like screaming. She's like, where is that coming from? And then she found it in the bin, and they put out like a notice in like, I think it was like the Mirror or something like that, and just said that they were looking for like 2 adults, preferably with another young cat, that have time to like sort of just ease her into like being a normal cat again. It was so cute. Yeah. And good for them. There's like a cat killer though in London. It's like Jack the Ripper of cats. And it's awful. It's because it's like they know it's human, because like he like chops them up, and it's too like clean. It's too clean to be another animal, and it's in Croydon, and he's killed like 16 cats so far. Yeah. I don't know how people cope with like having like outdoor cats. I would not be able to sleep at night. Oh. Alfie was the first one, wasn't he? Alfie's like your firstborn. Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the podcast. I'm going to get back to the podcast just because like I want you guys to like get on with your day, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. Okay, so in the event that Donald Trump did get elected, like how likely do you think that is?
I think it's quite likely. People in Europe are like, oh, it's never going to happen. It's because they don't live here. They don't see the support. I mean, we drive around, and like I've seen like 6 different Donald Trump stickers on people's cars. Like, you see it and you're like, oh, Jesus. God, it's popular.
I just think that people thought that he would be out of the race already, and he still is the lead in a lot of the caucuses that are going on in the States right now. And so I feel like he could certainly get the Republican nomination. I think that the Republican Party is going to try and fight it as much as possible and elect somebody who would actually be a legitimate politician.
I mean, but
he does have the popularity, which is scary. And he's getting the popularity by
being outrageous.
Yeah.
And by saying really horrible things. And people think, oh my God, he's so brave to say that. But it's like, maybe you should listen to what he's actually saying, because he means that. He's not just saying it because he sounds cool. Like, those are his opinions.
Mm-hmm.
No, I find it like, if even the Republican Party say, oh, you know what, that's a bit too much, you know, you're probably being a dick. And if you're only, I put up a status on Facebook like a couple of weeks ago that said, of course Donald Trump has the right to voice his opinion. You know, that's why we have freedom of speech. You also have the right to fart on a crowded tube at rush hour, but it would just be a nicer place if you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, like, he's getting so much media coverage, and it is really, really frightening. If Bernie Sanders got as much media coverage as Donald Trump is getting, maybe things would be different. But from sort of the UK looking at America, I was kind of hoping that because Donald Trump is a good news story, it's entertaining, it's good to talk about, but I was kind of hoping that that's why he was getting so much media representation, as opposed to he has actual, like, legit support, and the fact that he does is terrifying. Like, what do you think a country under Donald Trump would look like?
I don't think it would be that scary, to be honest with you. I think that he's going to try and push things through, but I don't think enough people will take him seriously. So I think he'll be kind of a lame duck president. I think Congress will be the limiting factor for him. He has all these ideas, but I don't think he's going to be able to do anything with them.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the intelligence to think them through. He just says stuff that comes out of his mouth.
I think that in regards to international politics, I think the U.S. will be set back hundreds of years. I don't think he's going to be able to negotiate with Putin, or
there'll be no progression whatsoever.
No. So that, I think, will be a setback. Certainly we could start a war that, you know, like
that's
the
what
last
I'm
Republican president
mainly
did.
worried about is the war.
What kind of backlash have you received, you know, kind of sharing? I know you guys don't share every detail of your life, but you do share.
She tweets some of the stuff I say, and I'm so mad about it. Like, do not put that on Twitter, Kaelyn.
Do you guys receive any backlash for it, though?
I'm currently collecting screenshots of people trying to ask us if we're lesbians, but they're all spelled in such beautiful, creative ways, and I can't wait to make a video about it because it's so fun.
Oh my god, you should make a bit, like, print them off, stick them in formaldehyde, and put them in the fucking tape.
Yes!
Frame them.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
We'll give you credit if that ever happens.
But in
Like a
real life,
concept
we haven't really gotten a lot of backlash.
No. I think it's been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's just people, internet trolls who think they can say awful things, and, you know, it always boils down to nothing.
That's what Donald Trump is. He's just kind of like
A real life internet troll.
IRL.
Yeah, exactly.
How much control, like, you kind of touched upon this earlier and said you really don't give a fuck, but, like, do the audience have any control over the end product? Like, are you conscious of the audience in mind when you're making it?
I think we're always conscious that, you know, we don't say things that are offensive and that they're all inclusive with the language we use, and I think that's really important because people will pick up on that and use that language themselves, which I guess leads back to whole Nash Greer using, you know, calling people faggots. Like, you have to use language that you think is appropriate because people will start using it if you have a large viewership. But I think, and we just listen to what people want to watch, you know, if they're like, oh, we want another Q&A, or we want to see another montage video, like, we'll always be like, okay, that would be fun, because they ask us for videos that we like to make.
Yeah. In the end, it all comes down to our decision, though.
Yeah.
So I feel like we make videos, and people will tell us, you know, what they want, and we listen to that, but if we don't feel like making it, then we won't, but if we do, then we will.
Yeah. It's very simple.
No, I think that's really, really good. It sort of brings me on nicely to my next question, and I've sort of been talking a lot about this in my podcast recently, but just asking people if they think that because everything's online now and everything is so instant, so the feedback you get is instant, and, you know, that can be criticism, constructive or otherwise. Do you think it is constructive to have that criticism? You know, as long as it is constructive, to have it, being aware, like being conscious and socially aware of these things.
We've had criticism that's opened my eyes to stuff that I never even considered. I can't think of something specific now that I'm, like, on the spot. But people have said things like, oh, you shouldn't use this word, or you shouldn't maybe say other. Oh no, someone said, please don't use the word bae, you know, B-A-E, because it originates from, like, African American vernacular. And I had no idea. So I've been using the
I
word
didn't know
bae like forever. And I was like, bae. And then they were like, this isn't really like your word to use. And I was like, oh, crap, I had no idea. You know? So stuff like that. The people who are like
I
nice
had no
about
idea.
it.
Now you told me I was maybe.
Yeah, and people who are polite and they're like, this isn't, you know, something you should be doing. I'm like, oh my God, you're correct. I'm so sorry. It's just when people are rude, I'm like, screw you.
Yeah, like for her in the opposite, you know, perspective is there's two kind of criticisms that bother me a little bit. One is that you can truly offend anybody and everybody with something. So we'll get messages where it's literally the most like benign topic.
Yeah.
And we'll get all this hate for something because it offends one person.
Yeah.
And so anything you say is going to offend somebody.
I always remember we tweeted that we were buying a new sofa.
Yeah.
And someone was like, how dare you buy a new sofa when there are people out there who don't have sofas? I was like, but we want a new sofa.
And we donated the other one.
We gave it away to charity. Like, it wasn't like we just burned it. We didn't, like, set fire to it in the garden.
And the second perspective, I think, just being on YouTube is people see our lives and think they know every detail about our life and think that they know what's best for us. So we get a lot of criticism or opinions that people have about how we should behave and what we should be doing.
Yeah.
When in reality, you know, that you really see such a small percentage of our life online.
People just think they know everything.
I was going to say, like, you just see such a tiny, tiny portion of,
We got a new bed and I Instagrammed a picture of it. And someone was like, why are there two separate blankets on the bed? Are you guys sleeping in separate blankets? Are you guys going to break up? I was like, no, we have two blankets because it gets cold at night.
I was going to ask you guys, like, do you feel such pressure to kind of... Obviously, you guys want to stay together anyway. But do you feel pressure not to break up if, you know, God forbid, you ever had to or wanted to for whatever reason? You know,
I mean, I wouldn't use that as a reason not to break up.
Right. I think a few years ago there was much more pressure than there is now because we've kind of phased out a little bit and we have other priorities in life. So I think now if we were to break up, it would be a little bit less like overwhelming online.
Yeah, because I think the viewership and the subscribers are definitely sort of evening out. We've sort of plateaued, which is really nice because, as you said, the pressure has come off and we can just sort of take a deep breath.
And the other good thing too is it's on the internet, so you literally can just turn off the internet and not be a part of that.
Just not log in. And it's hard because, you know, the internet's so addictive, but if you just put your phone away, you don't have to face it and you can just get on with your real life.
But yeah, no, I can't imagine having 230,000 people like willing me to succeed. That would make me want to implode on myself.
I remember we got a letter a few years ago from a 9-year-old and she was like, if you guys ever break up, I'm never going to believe in love again. And I was like, oh my gosh.
To be fair, I think that about Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith.
Yeah, to be fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would never write them and tell them, but I would be crushed. Not gonna lie. Like, I'm sorry if you guys are listening and I've just put, you know,
the pressure.
Shout out. Do you find like a kind of like internalized misogyny? It usually seems to be with like sort of like butch lesbians and stuff like that, sort of criticizing femmes for being femme, if you know what I mean. Like,
people have said
that
you
our
guys
lives are so much easier because we're femme. We get that a lot.
Yeah, and I see where they're coming from, but I also think that's not our fault. That's society. Like, that's erasure created by society, not by us. And we shouldn't. I mean,
I think it's all perspective. Everybody either thinks that their issue is the worst or they are the most discriminated against. Everybody has something that they can.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, we should listen to everybody's perspectives because everybody has different views on life. And I think a well-rounded society is one that takes in as many different angles as possible because then everyone gets a fair deal. I think you just have to sort of take it with a pinch of salt.
So I know you guys have offered sort of long-distance relationship advice so many times, but just because, like, there will be people listening to this that haven't read your blog or haven't watched your videos, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I think the bottom line is it has to be an equal effort on both parts. If one person is trying more than the other, it's not going to work. And it will suck and it will be miserable. and you need to communicate.
So it's the same as a non-long distance relationship.
Exactly.
then.
It is. It really is the same, to be honest with you. You need to communicate, I guess, more than you would in a non-long distance
And
relationship.
you need
Yeah.
to trust more.
Trust is really big, and we never had any issues with trust.
Yeah.
But some people do, and that's
Yeah.
understandable if you don't know someone very well or you don't know their friends, that kind of thing. You need to have a sort of agreement really on where you guys stand, and just
It
make
has
the
to be kind of
effort.
an open forum in a relationship. You can't have anybody who's closed off even slightly, because then the trust dwindles away.
Yeah.
And you can't, it's not like you can check on them every day. It's not like you can, be a stalker and secretly drive past their house to make sure they're home at night. Like, you can't do that in a long distance relationship. So you just have to have that trust.
Yeah. Well, on the same sort of level, if they're going to cheat on you while they're away, they're going to cheat on you while you live under the same roof. Yeah, like, you shouldn't be driving past your partner's house to make sure that they're home, Kaelyn.
Have you ever done that? Just checking in on you.
Has your dynamic changed that much since you've moved in together?
I think it has.
You do?
You don't think it has?
No, I think it has.
In what way?
We've
never had this discussion.
No.
It's going to be interesting. Yes, Kaelyn.
I think now we just live our life. So it's not like it's this big trip when we see each other and we take time off and we get to travel and have all these exciting experiences when we used to visit long distance. Now I wake up and I go to work and we have to survive on being boring. That's really what our life is.
Yeah,
It's boring.
and you just find yourself looking forward to like falling asleep together at night and like watching movies together and going out to eat when you can. Like, you start looking forward to the little things.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was a hard transition at first, because before we always had all this free time and now we just have to work.
Yeah, of course. Because when you guys were seeing each other, it would have been almost like a holiday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably the hardest thing for me. It was just getting used to mundane human life.
Because it must have been strange to sort of go long distance for such a long time, and then you move in together, and like immediately you're not with that person 24/7. And it's not like you were before, but it's just like, oh my god, now I'm like closer to seeing them, but they're still not.
Yeah.
And that must be kind of strange.
What do you think has been the biggest transition?
I mean, just seeing each other every day. There was a transition in that too, because it used to be this big like celebrated event, and now it's just I come home from work and she's here. So it's like
you sound almost disappointed, Kaelyn.
No, it's just that there's a transition there.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, that's pretty much where we left it. I cut it all off because of time constraints and we were just chatting nonsense. But if you do want to listen to it, you can become a Patreon, and depending on your reward level, you can listen to behind the scenes. You can Google Hangout while I'm recording the podcast and see how everything's set up. There's also my FemmeFm podcast, which I do 15 minutes every month, and I ask them shit like, how did you lose that pregnancy weight, or what are you wearing? So that's my Patreon. I will leave the link in the down bar, and I will leave all my social media links. Social media links, that's a new thing. So I will leave all of that below at FemmeFM, and you can talk to me during the week until my next podcast, which is obviously next Friday. Thank you so much for listening, and especially if you got to the end of that. Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks to Lucy and Kaelyn for being on the podcast. Bye!